All right, Jeremy, you ready to roll? Good. Yep. Uh,
Sir.
we'll get going with the webinar here. So first, let me say it's great looking through this attendee list because it's a nice range of our clients. You know, I see our Division One, Division Two, Division Three. I see NJCA in there. I see NAI. I see both schools and conferences. I see Pat Coleman from the D3 Sports Network. Just a really good, like I said, a really good group here. So, even got some of our friends from Canada on this call. So that's awesome. It's great to see it. We had over close to 150 people register for this webinar. So one of our more popular webinars so far in the sense of the product offerings that we've been showcasing here. So, we'll get started here. Power up your mobile experience with FrontRowX. So both Jeremy and I are really excited to kind of go through the agenda here and talk through everything. Excited to have everyone here. And really before I get started, I hope everyone's doing well and healthy and safe from the pandemic that is going on and being smart and taking care of yourself. So needless to say, a time of our lives that we hope never gets repeated again. I think everyone would agree with that. So just to kind of get moving. So what we're going to do is we're going to just quickly go through the agenda here. Obviously, we'll introduce myself and Jeremy to everyone. And looking through the list here of attendees, a lot of these names I recognize, so you probably have talked to me at some point or the other. So once we go through the introductions, we're going to get into the mobile and really kind of answer the question, why do you want or why do you need a mobile app? And then we'll talk about the FrontRowX. And, you know, as I said before, we're really excited about our partnership with From Now On and introducing this new updated app to our clients is something that I think both companies are excited about. And I think once you see the deck here, you'll understand why. So moving forward, just a quick introduction. Like I said, I've talked with most of you, before at some point or another. So I'm Ted Bardash. I'm Vice President of Business Development here at Presso Sports. I've been at Presso Sports for a little bit over 12 years. When I first started here, there were 121 clients, and we now have upwards of 1,400 clients. So it's been a lot of fun for me to watch the company grow and expand out and get acquired a couple of years ago and acquire other companies and partner with different companies and such. So it's been a lot of fun. And, just prior to Presso Sports, I was at CSTV, CBS, and I put this part in there about my coaching at Marymount University. That's kind of how I got into the athletic website business and streaming business. But I'll circle back to that later, which is just makes sense as to why that's there. But in a nutshell, that's who I am. And like I said, excited to be here. And Jeremy, I'll let you introduce yourself. And
Appreciate that, Ted. I think, both sides of the partnership are very excited to really help expand what Presto Sports already has with a beautiful footprint of everything that they're already doing. And so, from my background, I've not been doing this nearly as long as Ted, but mobile is actually a lot newer than websites. And so I still very much enjoy getting the opportunity to learn from you guys on, especially during this transition or this time that we're having, what's important to you, what's on the front-facing part of what you're trying to accomplish for next year and beyond that. And so huge sports fanatic. I'm a diehard Husker fan. Go Big Red went there for my undergrad, and then I love my sports trivia as well. And I try to get our team involved as much as possible, at least on a weekly basis. But really what Ted's going to hit on today is we're going to go over more of a 10,000-foot view of our features and the platform itself. That way, Ted and his team can really meet with you guys one-on-one and do more of a full walkthrough with you and your team as time allows here in the future. So with that said, I'll toss it back over to Ted, and he can kind of walk through a couple of these slides for you.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy. And that was your polite way of saying that you're a lot younger than I am, I think. But I hear you. I got you. So before I kind of jump into things, first, questions and answers. So when we're done with this, we're going to have a time where we can answer any questions that you may have. So on the Zoom recording, you should be able to have, there's a Q&A block down there. And if you want to just type in any questions you have to all panelists, when we get to the end, we'll be sure to answer all of those questions that we have in that Q&A section. So having said that, before I really jump into everything, I want to kind of tell you a little bit of the story that I like to pass on. So 15 years ago, as I said, when I started in this business with CSTV, the big part of what we were discussing with schools was trying to convince them to use our platform, a third-party platform, for their athletic website, which is funny to think because here we are 15 years later, and most NCAA college athletic departments have a third-party athletic website for multiple reasons why. But 15 years ago, we were trying to convince them to do that. And I think about maybe it was about 10 or 12 years ago where the responsiveness of websites kind of came into play. So, mobile was first kind of hitting the market and things like that. And then, of course, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago was when we launched our first version of our Front Row app. And then a few years later, we launched Front Row 2.0. And then now here we are launching our FrontRowX product with from now on. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the process has moved from, really trying to convince schools that they needed a website, a third-party website, to now we've come, even expanded that out to now saying now not only do you need a responsive website or a mobile website, you also need an app. And I think when it comes to why you need that, the next few slides are really going to prove the difference or give you very good reasons as to why having an app is so important, especially in today's world. So, and before I jump into that, most sales experts or corporate, executives would tell salespeople never to start with pricing. And I never have really bought into that, especially at the college market. I think that pricing is always such a big piece of what different athletic departments can do and can't do. The budget that one school has versus another school is going to be completely different. So I wanted to start with that here. And, when it comes to pricing, depending on what products you go with for this FrontRowX product that we're now offering, the pricing is going to range from $3,000 to $6,000 per year. $6,000 is more on the higher end when you're adding in our rewards platform that Jeremy's going to get into a little bit here today too. But so full boat, if you go with everything, then you're looking at the $6,000 range. But if you just go with kind of I guess the core FrontRowX, then you're looking around $3,000 to $4,000. So I wanted to say that to you now, and what the sales training experts would say to you is that you need to build in the value for it before you say the pricing. And I wanted to do the opposite here today because I think the value is going to quickly be apparent to you in these next few slides. And, when it comes to why mobile, reaching fans where they spend their time. And, I've got a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old at home. And, now that we're in this situation with COVID, they're home all the time. And I can see where they spend their time, and they're constantly on their mobile phones. And so that generation, I'm 47 years old, so maybe my generation isn't on our phones as much as the younger generation, but this is where fans are spending their time now. They're on their mobile phones. Yes, they're still engaging on a website and still looking at content on websites, but more and more people are spending their time looking at their mobile phones and stuff. And when it comes to engaging with those fans, obviously mobile is the way that the generations are starting to do that. And of course, from a marketing standpoint, pushing out your brand, pushing out your team, communications, really this is the time to do that from a mobile perspective. So moving on to the next slide, you'll see that as we kind of start collecting data, this kind of blew me away a little bit in the sense that in today's world, the people that are going to they're using their phone, that traffic is 90% of that traffic is coming from some sort of a mobile app. and think about it, from your standpoint on a day-to-day basis, whether you're going to Starbucks or whether you're using an Uber or whatever you're doing, from your phone, more than likely you're doing it through an app as opposed to through a mobile web presence. Circling back to the Marymount coaching position I have right now, we're on the road quite a bit, in the bus for 3 hours, and I'm watching what our players are doing, and whether it's after practice or what have you. And they're they always joke with me because they called me the old man of the group and stuff, but which isn't necessarily untrue. But the the piece is that they too are constantly going to apps. They're really not browsing the web from that particular standpoint and stuff. And so 90% of that mobile traffic is on apps. And then if you look at the next slide, 80% of fans access a mobile device during live events, and more than 80% of the consumers are using some sort of a second screen while watching an event at home. I mean, if you think about that, it's just sitting at home on your couch watching a game is no longer the norm. People are sitting at home, they're watching a game, and at the same time, they've got their mobile phone with them, an app open, looking at some sort of, whether statistics or whether it's social media where people are talking about the game. There's some sort of engagement from that mobile phone that as this stat shows, more than 80% of them are using it. So to me, right there, the $3,000 to $6,000 cost in a way almost pays for itself because of those two numbers that we just shared. And as Jeremy kind of gets into the more of the nuts and bolts of FrontRowX, what you'll realize is that what we're really trying to push to our clients is this is not necessarily something that the school needs to pay for, or at least the athletic department needs to pay for. It's something that either your marketing department can pay for, your communications at the university level could pay for, or even more importantly, sponsorships. And like I said, I know Jeremy's going to get into that a little bit more here later. So keep all that in mind as we go through the rest of the presentation. And like I said, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them at the end. And just moving on to the next slide, I'll let Jeremy kind of take it from here. But FrontRowX is the updated version of our Front Row app. I guess you can consider it our third generation app. There's a lot more bells and whistles to it than what our first two versions have. Front Row, the current version of the app is still there, still available for clients if you choose not to upgrade. And it's still very valuable and useful to many athletic departments out there that are using it now. So, Jeremy, I think, the next slide, still me. When it comes to the app, one of the things that we wanted to do was, and this is kind of something that Presto Sports has done from day one, is that we always look to simplify the workflow when it comes to your everyday process from an SID standpoint. So when it comes to your news and stories, your schedules, any sort of content integration, has been built into the app. So when you're putting news and stories and schedules, team info, all of that, we're checking those boxes to say all of that information that you're posting into the Presto Sports system will be automatically shared with the app. So there's no additional workflow that you have to do. And really, these are the 5 categories of content that we've started with the integration. And as you can see here on this slide, more is coming on as far as that goes and stuff. And feedback from our clients is going to be very important there as well. We want to hear from our clients, as always, what other pieces of content do you want shared from your website to your FrontRowX app. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Jeremy, and Jeremy, I'll let you kind of take it from here.
Perfect. Thanks, Ted. I think Ted did a great job of segmenting that over to me as far as feedback goes. So when we look at the big things that schools continually tell us from a mobile perspective as to what they value, these are really the 5 biggest things we continually hear from them year over year, and these kind of transition in one way, shape, or form, especially with everything that's going on. But I'll hit on these very briefly. Ted had mentioned the first one, but the ability to drive revenue, whether that's indirect revenue or direct revenue. The indirect way would be anything you guys are already doing around merchandise sales, ticketing sales, and/or concession sales. A lot of beautiful opportunities within the app to bring those to light. And then Ted had already mentioned this too, but direct sponsorship sales. With us, again, being in a very unique time, schools have been telling me more and more that sponsors are really looking to potentially transition more into digital as well as mobile opportunities where they know their fans are going to be at all the time. Hopefully they're in the gyms and arenas come fall, but in lieu of that, and especially with spring sports, what's an opportunity for them to get in front of their fans, and this is a beautiful opportunity. Reaching more fans, the app really allows you to add in a direct line to your digital communication strategy. It complements really well with what schools are already doing on social media and on their website because it provides the option to share the same content directly via push notification, so in real time. It's a great proactive way to get in front of your fan bases rather than them having to be, say, reactive and going out and searching for what they're looking for. Moving on to showcasing your brand, our partners have loved the ability to customize the look and feel of their app each year to make sure that it matches their latest branding. We have a home screen, which I'll show you here in a quick second, that is really largely built on imagery and graphics that you're able to change at your leisure if you guys want to. We also sit down with your team and we create a full design consultation to make sure that we properly apply your colors and logos and everything branding. Then as you go into enhancing game day, we sit on top of and do a number of things as far as live stats, live audio, TV information, purchasing tickets, geofence, push notifications or messaging, rewards and loyalty programs. All of these features are really a new layer to what fans are already able to experience on game day, and it enhances that. And then lastly, going into collecting data insights, you can really leverage our analytics report to not only see how fans are using the app, but also how your fans are compared to maybe other similar sized schools or schools even bigger than you that you're trying to compare and say, hey, how are we really aligning up with the schools that we have? And so those are, again, the feedback that we hear from schools as to why they enjoy the app platform. And as Ted said, we're always looking at improving, and that feedback that we can continually receive, we greatly appreciate. So diving into really a new home for fans, the app platform is very beautiful because we can really t-shirt size it to align with whatever your guys' goals are. Just because you see something on one school's app doesn't necessarily mean it aligns with what you guys are trying to do as well. And so as you can see from this, it's personalized, it's customized, and it's integrated. So what I mean by those are news, schedule, and teams are all going to be personalized based on what the fans choose as their favorite teams during the onboarding of the app, which is great. They get to personalize the app content as well as the messaging that they receive. Going on to what we call our cards on the bottom, as you can see, those are all very much customized as well based on your brand and what's most important to you so that we can align with your athletic department goals. Ted kind of mentioned that as far as branded content goes too. And then as he said, everything for the most part is going to be integrated with your website for one point of entry to keep it very easy for your team to manage. So Presto's got a beautiful website layout and everything else that they're doing with streaming stats, and that's something that we want to make very easy for you and your team as well. Speaking of easy, we want to make sure that everything is really one click away for game day. And not just game day, everything else you guys are doing within athletics or across the university, from alumni golf outings to auctions to events that the university is hosting. If you want to involve them, you absolutely can. But starting with the left-hand side, our goal is really to make the platform as easy as possible for your fans, regardless if they're 15 years old or 85 years old. And in light of everything going on, we've heard schools wanting to move more towards contactless things that they're doing. So digital ticketing, digital programming, sponsorship activation. So again, on the left, you guys have the ability, and we can integrate the control of live stats, which are beautifully input. Moving to the center, The event info is really highlighted. That can go from team info to ticketing if you do that, audio, video, broadcasting. And then if you want to throw in a game day program or recaps or anything else, you know, that's something that Presto's team will be able to brainstorm with you on what's important. And then if you go scrolling over to the right, that's really your social media feed. To maximize reach and reuse of already existing content that you're throwing in there. And so again, very simple to include in, and that's built up on the front end. So Ted had also mentioned, but the ability to really promote sponsors as well as content. This is, again, a beautiful opportunity to leverage current sponsors in more of a digital fashion. So the ability to drop in content with notifications to drive fans there. So this is a great example of, hey, we just won. On the very left, here's that notification with that promotion of what you got. If I click on it, it opens me straight into the home screen where I can drop me into the promotion and learn a little bit more about it, whether it's a we win, you win, or anything of that nature. And then on the right, it really adds it to the already great promotions that you're already running. So we have what we call a promotions playbook to expand the monetization opportunities within the app and help support relationships and conversations you're already having. Like I said, you can do we win, you wins, digital coupons, and so much more that we'd love the opportunity to work and listen, see what you guys are doing already. So push notifications has been hit on. There are a number of new opportunities to be proactive in your communication, and this is really a robust notifications platform. And there's 3 types of notifications that can get sent out. You can do a scheduled notification. So if you're in the office Monday morning, you want to time them out throughout the week, throughout the month, you absolutely can. There's the automatically generated notifications. So as we mentioned, will sit on top of your stat platform. And those are automatically going to be generated out to fans that are following that particular sport. And then you can do on-demand notifications. So I mentioned we win, you wins, or hey, there's now a rain delay for baseball or softball. Now I can send that to my fans following that particular sport, letting them know about the update of the game. So these can be targeted based on what teams those fans are following, as well as the affiliation that they choose. So part of the onboarding is, hey, what are your favorite teams? What do you want to follow? As well as what is your affiliation? And that's something that the Presto team really works on with you guys. So that way the content and messaging around that, you guys can really cater to that fan. Lastly, we do have geofencing capabilities as well. So if you'd like to send a targeted notification to fans inside that area, hey, the basketball game's going on. I want to let them know about these dollar hot dogs I'm trying to get rid of by the end of the night. I want to send a notification just to those fans inside the arena and let them know, or 20% off merchandise at the merchandise stand. Some great opportunities to be able to geofence messaging around what you guys are already doing. And also, as Ted mentioned, we do have a loyalty and rewards feature. Sign up, check in, get rewarded. Very simple. Our loyalty and rewards feature is optional for schools to add on. It's really an opportunity for fans or students to create a profile, to enroll, and then start earning points. There's a beautiful opportunity for sponsorship within this too. Some schools may already have a rewards app, and this is a way to really the goal is to encompass everything around one roof or a one-stop shop. So you can really include that in what you guys are already doing, or a new opportunity to engage in what students and fans are doing. So Ted, I think that leads it back off to you.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Jeremy. We've got a few questions that are coming in. So just to remind everybody, if you do want to, if you do have a question, go into that Q&A tab and just type it in there. And like I said, we'll get to that when we get to the end. But so why upgrade? And that's one question that I already see in the Q&A section, is that what happens to your current FrontRow app if you do not upgrade? Nothing. It's still in the stores. We're still supporting it and servicing it. So that FrontRow app would still stay live for you, and you would still be able to take advantage of all the features that the FrontRow app comes with. Now, why upgrade to the FrontRowX app? Well, a lot of what you're seeing on this slide here is there's a little bit more integration involved with FrontRowX. A lot more branding and design control is there for each individual client from a setup of the FrontRowX app. I would say front row, this upgrade is going to provide a much better experience for your fans and for engaging with your fans. The real-time updates, the revenue opportunities, those are just, 4 or 5 reasons why we think our clients should upgrade. And, there's a lot of clients that do not currently have an app with us at all. So you wouldn't necessarily just be upgrading, you would be adding a whole new communication piece to your resume there. So, those are the reasons that we would list out of as far as upgrading and why you should do that. So we go to the next slide there, Jeremy, that this is, we're pretty much, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, we wanted to kind of do a 10,000 foot view here of FrontRowX. If you do want a more detailed presentation or demo, we're happy to do that for you for each conference or each school. Obviously, there's my email address, ted@prestosports.com. So feel free to reach out to me and we can set that up. We do have some questions that I want to hit on. And Jeremy, I'll kind of go through them and then maybe ask you to answer a few of them. So there's a few that I'm going to combine into one, but launch date, time process, those are a few questions I'm just going to roll into one. So good question. And we should have mentioned that earlier, but it takes 30 to 60 days to build the app and get it ready in both stores. So we're essentially ready to go now. I know there's one client who typed a question in here that it has been pretty anxious for this for a while. So I hear you, Greg. But yeah, so it's essentially a 30, 60 day process from essentially today or whenever an agreement is signed for that site for the FrontRowX app to go live. Another question that came in is that essentially it looks like if you're going through a redesign, what's the process? Redesign is going to take a little bit longer than the 30 to 60 day process redesign of your website. But if you want, and what we're suggesting to a lot of our clients is to wait for the app to go live when your redesigned website goes live, mostly from a marketing kind of promotion standpoint. Now, if you didn't want to do that, if you wanted the app to go live before the website redesign, we could do that. But for the most part, that's kind of what we're suggesting. And it seems like that's what most of the schools would want, is that they would just basically want both of them, the redesigned website and the FrontRowX app to go live at the same time. So we can make that work for you as well. Sorry, just going through these questions. Is there a camps feature within the app? Jeremy, you want to take that?
I guess I would probably want to know a little bit more information about camps. So even if you do not have, I guess from my understanding is, even if you don't have, say, an event on your website, you can absolutely add in customized events to the app as well. So like I said, if you don't have an alumni golf outing or anything of that nature, university concerts or something like that, you can absolutely add in even camps. I'm not sure if that's what you mean by that or if you wanted to expand, but that's something we can add on from a schedule standpoint. Now we can add in more information about where they can sign up, within the event too. So that's something, Wendy, we'd love to ask you a little bit more about and help you answer that too.
Yeah. All right. Pricing. So I mentioned it earlier in the webinar. Pricing ranges from $3,000 to $6,000 per year. If you go with the rewards, if you do the rewards add-on, then you're paying the $6,000. But if you don't want rewards, then you're paying anywhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $4,000 per year. So that's the pricing for the new FrontRowX app. For our current Front Row app clients who are already paying for that app, obviously if you go with the $3,000 version, then it would just be an additional $2,000 to the $1,000 that you're already paying. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody with that. But if you're a new Front Row app, FrontRowX client, then the cost would be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, depending on what features you included in that package. So let's see, still going. Can a client get a previous version of Front Row if they have not used Front Row in the past? Unfortunately, right now, we're not launching and building any of our old version apps. So if you wanted just the Front Row app that we've got out in the market now, we would not be able to do that. some of that is due to Apple and some of the requirements that they put in place on us. But so right now, the only app that you could add with Presto Sports would be the FrontRowX app. So email me more information. Absolutely, we can do that, and we will do that. Everyone on who's registered for this webinar, we will not only send you a link to the video of this webinar, but we'll also send all of you a one-sheeter that you can share with your athletic director or other people in your administration about it, about the FrontRowX app. So let me see. I know there's some. I'm just kind of reading through these. How will it work for those of us that already have a From Now On app? Jeremy, I'll let you take that. That's from our friends at Sacramento State.
Yeah, so that's something that will be we're supposed to be having this integration done here sooner rather than later. So that's something that your customer success coach, I think it's Sydney, that can chat with you on, that we can get integrated in before you start uploading whether your schedules, rosters for this next year. But that'll be a very easy, it won't be that 30 to 60 days. It'll be closer to, a couple weeks, if that, not even, to have us be able to implement that. So we'd be happy to have our coach reach out, and that way you can keep that relationship under one roof, but it'll be a lot quicker than that 30 to 60 days.
Okay, good. Let's see. Does the information added in the app simultaneously go to our current Presto website? The integration actually, I believe, works the opposite way. So if you put schedules and rosters and scores and stories and things on your Presto Sports website, then it's going to automatically feed into the FrontRowX app. So you're not necessarily putting content into the app that's then feeding into the website. So, like I said, put your information into the website, into the Presto Sports CMS, post to your website, and then that's going to feed into the app automatically. So, Jeremy, I'll let you take this one. Basically, this person's asking what's for his school that's just under $1,500 total students. What do we recommend from an app perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as I mentioned, the app can really be t-shirt sized to the athletics department or the school. And so that's something where we really like to listen first and see what you guys are already doing, so that way we can make the app as easy as possible. We've seen schools that have very, very small enrollment sizes do some pretty amazing things through the platform. And so that's something where we would enjoy brainstorming with you guys, what are you currently doing already? And then we can align the feature set of what we're already doing. And that's, again, the beautiful thing about the app is that the content can really be customized and branded to your school. So that way we can figure out, what makes sense. So that way you're not adding in 100 more things to your plate already, and making sure that it is of high value to your fans to download and continue using too.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. I mean, just for those of you on this webinar who've been with us with Presto Sports or Stretch for quite some time, that our focus has always been on the smaller schools, and 1,500 total students. I mean, that's kind of our niche market. That's where this company was founded to essentially provide let's call it a Power 5 level website, streaming platform, communications platform to the schools that don't necessarily have 10 people in their sports communications office. Being able to provide our clients with tools that makes it look like they have 10 people in their office and are not having to spend 80, 90 hours a week working. So this sort of integration with From Now On and FrontRowX app is really kind of the next step in being able to deliver that to our clients. And it's always been the one-stop shop. Right. That's what Presto Sports has always pretty much sold ourselves on, in our network and sharing content within conferences or within divisions or nationally. That national network, along with the one-stop shop, being able to log into the Presto Sports CMS and update your website, do your live streaming, update your app, do any camp registrations, create infographics, what have you. That's kind of been our model, our goal from day one, and we continue to do that with every new feature that we launch out there. So
Ted, I got a couple here that I can answer real quick as well.
Go for it. Go for it.
One of them I got was, are live stats compatible from Stat Crew and NCAA live stats as well as Presto stats? The answer is yes. We integrate with all of them. The other question is, to live stream, do you need to be using the Presto streaming platform, or can it be linked to outside video? We can link that to outside video as well, fully integrated with YouTube. And we've got schools that, you know, are on ESPN Plus or Blue Frame, or, you know, everything in between. And we can link that to an outside video within it. And so it's very easy for the fan to go find.
Jeremy, who asked that question? We're going to kick them off the webinar.
No comment. I don't want to get
into All right. I'll find out. So, yes, you can use an outside streaming platform to link into that, but at the same time, why would you want to do that? So, all right. I think we covered all the questions.
One said, data insights include comparisons to other similar schools. Can this be narrowed to just schools within the conference indoor geographic area? Absolutely. That's something we could do as well. It kind of just depends. We like to, you know, look at, for our data, you know, schools that are doing a really good job. And then if you want to, you know, compare them to schools similar size and or within the conference or around your area, we absolutely could do that too.
All right. The last question I see that just came in, can you input stats right from the app? No, you can't. Well, from a game stat standpoint, you can't input it right from the app. Is that correct, Jeremy? You has to be using Presto Stats or some other third-party stats entry software.
Correct. And if it's like a season stat or what have you, you can drag and drop an XML file in there too. But yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. Okay, good. Dwayne, thanks for asking this question, and I'm glad you did. So I don't have a, and Jeremy, you can jump in here too, but from a conference-specific FrontRowX, we're still kind of discussing that. And, you know, we're seeing the need for that more and more because people like you, Dwayne, have inquired about that. And I hear what you're saying with the current FrontRow app for conferences. Give us a few weeks and we'll get back to you and anybody else that's from a conference office on that. So, but we do have plans to create a specific FrontRowX for conference offices. Just don't know the timeline for that right now. It would still have all the integration that this current FrontRowX app will have and stuff. So, but like I said, more information on that coming. The notifications feature would be included in that as well. Sounds good. Thanks. Good. Thanks, Dwayne. All right. I think, did we cover everyone? Anthony, you had a specific question about stats, customizing the app. We'll get with you on that because I know that's probably more specific for our Canadian clients and stuff. But Jeremy, I don't know if you saw that one. It was up near the top, but yeah, Anthony, we'll get back with you on that specifically to answer that question to you specifically. So, all right, great. Well, thanks so much. Once again, hope this gave you that 10,000-foot view of the FrontRowX app. Like I said, Jeremy, we're excited to be working with from now on. And when we look back at when we thought about upgrading our FrontRow app, we felt that we could do it internally, but at the end of the day, we kept coming back to from now on, and they've obviously have delivered a fantastic app to the market, and then now with our built-in integration and some other features that we're adding to it, the FrontRowX app we think is really second to none in the market, and especially for the pricing. I mean, you look around at other apps, and $3,000 for an app is extremely affordable compared to what other apps are going in the market for. So thanks again for your time, everyone. Like I said, we'll send the video of this webinar out to everyone along with some more information, a one-sheeter that you can share with others at your school and or conference. And once again, stay healthy, get outside when you can, be smart, stay safe, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, guys.